Dixie came and talked to me, and she said, you know, I'm really sorry, but it is cancer. So I went home and I talked to my husband and I talked to my children, and I told them that, you know, Mom does have cancer, so we need to remove that from her body. And I told my husband, I said, you know, this is an opportunity for us. God has given us an opportunity to make our children even more stronger, even though it's going to be hard. I was, you know, referred to MD Anderson, and when I went there, they repeated some of the tests just to make sure where the location was and all the details that MD Anderson, you know, methodically does. Once they got the results of the biopsy and they looked at my whole entire case, and they said, well, we can do a lumpectomy and then radiation, and you should be good to go, because it's a quite an early cancer. So I felt I didn't feel peace with that option. And again, in the back of my mind, I felt that, you know, this is my second primary cancer. Do I just want to do a lumpectomy and radiation and move on with my life? What if this cancer moves from one breast to the other, or, you know, anything can happen? So I started researching myself. What are my other options that I have? And so one of the options was to do a bilateral mastectomy. But my biggest concern was my kids again. How I was going to handle this large surgery and the recovery. So I called upon my dear aunt, who is very close to me. She came and I told her, I said, you know, this is their routine. I don't want any gaps in the kids' routine. And she said, don't worry about anything. I'll take care of them. I went under, and I came out after 14 and a half hours. And I didn't know what was going on at that moment. I went into ICU, and you know, the monitoring of this procedure is very close monitoring after surgery. My daughter came in and I could tell she was overwhelmed to see me like that, with tubes everywhere. And, you know, my husband, I could tell from his face, you know, he was trying to have a positive, you know, face, but I knew that behind that he was going through a lot. So then I was sent into the normal room, and now it was time for me to take my first shower. So I went into the bathroom and I took off my gown, and you know, there's a mirror in the back of the door. And I didn't want to look at myself. And I said a prayer, and I said, I have to look at myself because I have to accept this, what I've chosen. So I turned around and I saw all the scars. And I thought, what did I do to myself? And I turned on the water so my husband couldn't hear me cry. And I took my first shower, and I was very weak. After a couple of more days, I was called in for a follow-up, and I had to see the plastic surgeon and the surgical oncologist. She said, you know, the kind of cancer that you had is a little bit of an aggressive kind. Therefore, we presented your case again to the tumor board, and we feel that we recommend that you get chemo. And that's when I completely lost it. I thought I was home free. I did everything possible to bring my odds down. And so I looked at my husband, and he looked at me and he said, we need to do it. I said, okay, if this is going to bring my odds even lower and not be living under stress about worrying that this cancer might come back, then I'm gonna do it. So I had to prepare for the second part of my journey. These are some of the learning lessons of life, but that didn't mean that I shut myself off and put myself in a dark box and, you know, got depressed. Yes, there were moments, but we worked through it. And this is where this journey went on, and I started serving on different nonprofits, my own community. My community doesn't like to talk about, you know, breast and mammograms. So I felt, how can I change that? How can I break that ice? And it took me a while to do that with my own community, to talk about, and I was very free about talking about it. So I think that's what makes people comfortable to come and talk to me about it. So many doors have opened, and I sure hope I continue this work, and I hope that I can make an impact with organizations such as the Rose, because it's very important. When you're going through your journey, it's about you, but when you have won that journey, it's about that other person that's going through. So you must bring them that light, that hope that they can do this.